It's funny. I have a tendency when I have to introduce something like this, I have almost no idea what I'm going to say before I come up here, and then the words just come out. But with Makino, really, I'm rendered speechless because I feel like there are no real words to describe not just the quality of his films, but the feeling that they give us watching them. And before I say just a little bit about that, because really we're here to see the work and to talk to him, I want to also thank, to bring an artist from Japan is not necessarily the easiest thing. You have to collaborate with a number of partners, and so we really owe a debt of gratitude to Anthology Film Archives in New York, who initially had the thought of bringing Makino back to the US, and to the Japan Foundation for funding some of his travel. But also on the West Coast here, he's doing a little bit of a tour. So we have collaborators and friends in Vancouver, and Portland, and San Francisco. Not to mention at CalArts, here the Experimental Animation Visiting Artists group, Moshe Yang and Jonah Pugnano, and also Rebecca Barron. It takes an army sometimes just to bring one very special person here. It's very much worth it. And I want to thank you all for being here. It's sort of maybe an obvious statement to say that really the best way to see a cinematic work is in a cinema, with a nice projection and a dark room. Some of you, more than others, may agree, having other people in the room is a good thing. Some people would prefer to be alone, maybe, but I think that even though we might say that, seeing stuff on Vimeo or online or on Blu-ray or something is a compromise, we might be able to still extrapolate in our heads, watching something at home, what it might be like in the cinema. But I think this is really not possible with Makino's work, because the work is so much about scale and about immersion and about energy and about a real exchange between the piece on screen as it's unfolding and our physical, emotional, psychic reactions to the piece. And I think this can only really happen with his work in a space, like a theatrical space like this. And so, some of his work is in excerpted form on Vimeo and on YouTube, and you can see footage of his performances. And if you email him nicely, he might even send you links to some of the pieces, but it's really not like seeing the work. And so I am very, very pleased that you're all here, because we're extremely excited. This is, I think, is it the first time in the US it's showing in 4K even? And so this is a 4K DCP Memento Stella, which is, I think, a very ambitious and very special piece that really the person that should be telling you a little bit about it is not me, but is Makino Takashi himself. So if you could join me in that.
Hi, thank you for coming to this screening, and thanks for the people who helped make this happen here. I'm so happy to come back to US because from last year I really tried to come back to and meet friends, US American friends, because some of our really nice friends, filmmakers, passed away, and we had a very sad time. And I tried, but last year it didn't happen, and finally I could come to here again. This is a third time to come to Los Angeles. First time Adam, the LA Filmforum, he helped about organizing, and now he helping again. Thank you very much. I really love this kind of independent organizing screening, because I started the screening project from 2009 because I got so good inspiration from the American independent organizers. So thanks for this very much. Today I showed one film, Memento Stella. Everybody asks me who is Stella, but not name. Actually, it's Memento Mori. Everybody knows what is Memento Mori. But I'm tired for the Memento Mori very much. So, but I thought about if I can make one film and we can connect without any borders, languages, and act, and something which makes a difference of each of us. And if we can feel something very beautiful things or some strong emotion without any language and any borders and human race. So past 7 years, I went to so many countries for showing my work. Sometimes exhibitions, sometimes performance, sometimes workshop. And I could meet so many good people, and everywhere. I'm very lucky because I'm an artist, so I can meet with people who are interested in art. It's explained a lot, I think. But in the same time, very bad things happen everywhere. Every country have a problem, and but yeah, from 2015 I started thinking about making a feature-length abstract film. And I shoot so many footages, materials, and everywhere in the world, and we cannot find which this image comes from. It means I try to find our common things, for example, water and skies and some nature things, and also human. So many architecture, and I got so many footages from the Europe, Southeast Asia, Asia, East Asia, and US. When I came to America 2 years ago, I got some footage in New York, and also Europe, everywhere. So almost I visited more than 100 cities and grabbed some footages and edit them everything in the very high resolution 4K. But I had no editing machine for 4K. But in Hong Kong, now Hong Kong have a very difficult time. But one of the gallery, an empty gallery, they helped me, and they gave me the opportunity to come to Hong Kong and edit whole day, more than actually 12 hours every day, and I did 2 months, and I edited. I could concentrate to editing. That was very rare experience, I think. So this film is a kind of collaboration with Empty Gallery and me. And this film is a 1 hour abstract film. Please be prepared for that. But you can find this film is separate for the 5 part, very clearly separate. No credit in between the sequence and sequence, but first part you can see the so many types of the water images, and also and second part is every water turned to the ash and or negative images and makes them more like a black hole images. And third part, many organic things happen, exploding. And in the fourth part, human comes, and in the end, you will, I think, I will see last part. In the end, you will back to yourself. So if you're tired, imagine where you are, and you can find where you are. I think don't get lost. And, yeah, we do a Q&A after this. So let's talk later. Please relax, and I think you can see a lot of things from the abstract images. So please open your ear and eye and relax. Thank you. Talk later.
Kind of hard to talk after that.
Thanks for watching until the end. Some part is a very intense sound. Yeah, and this time the screen. This is the first time I showed my film to the not screen, to the wall. So this, for me, this contrast was very interesting. Much different from showing the screen. I'm really surprised about that. And I edited the sound 5.1 mix. And normally the sound comes from the behind of the screen, the note from the top. So I felt something. This time is a kind of special. Yeah, so
it's funny. This is the myth of digital that somehow every time it's exactly the same, but it's absolutely not.
Yeah. About sound, about music. That I said I did a sound mix. I got this time when I edited this work. I also made a music by myself. But when I made music until the 40 minutes, I felt maybe I need something different idea for the soundtrack. And I and Empty Gallery people talked about who is the right person can make a soundtrack, and we suggested many good musicians, and we decided to ask to the Rainier van Hout. He's a Dutch pianist, but he didn't. He have no studio for the 5.1 sound mix, so he sent me the 40 unedited tracks to me. So I edited with the sound engineer and put on some speakers. So
at CalArts, you mentioned although sometimes you make your own soundtracks, a lot of times, but sometimes when you're working on a piece, maybe you're really close to the images, like really close to the film, because you finish the picture completely before making the sound. That sometimes you prefer to have somebody different work on the sound. And so do you think, will you continue to make your own sound sometimes, or do you prefer to work with other composers?
Yes, if I really have a clear concept about sound, I can make that one. But sometimes I really need some more surprise things, and also sometimes I want beyond my imagination, or something I cannot control, so kind of out of control thing. Because I made so many before I started filmmaking. I made a lot of the collage works, cutting paper and do composition and makes completely different things. So I always think about that kind of the miracle things happen, because it's easy, because when we make a collage work, we can always beyond our imagination, and the result is sometimes very surprised about that. I never think about this kind of things. So I keep thinking of that idea is always in my head, and when I make something. So when I made this one, I played some synthesizers and guitars for that, but I thought maybe ask to somebody will be better. And Rainier, I explained to Rainier van Hout why I make this work, how I make this work, and I explained with some drawing. And I said, I only told them, please don't follow the image too much, because always moving image and sound same pace, and it's not so interesting. So yeah, we did that kind of the conversation. So yeah, that's why I asked him this time.
I'm glad to hear you mention that surprise is important sometimes. And also I know dreams and imagination are really big themes and inspirations for you. And you said something yesterday also at CalArts, mentioning that when you have total control over everything, it's actually a lack of freedom. Like freedom comes from not having control. And I thought that was a really fascinating idea, but also a really good artistic lesson for people. And could you talk a little bit about your interest in lack of control, or freedom through maybe not knowing what you're going to get?
Yeah. So if I decide something very clearly, and I studied about the technique things, only technique things in the university. So I know how to shooting and how to develop films. But if my technique is very well, and I can control everything very clearly, and then I thought that is not so interesting when I'm doing. Making collage is much more creative, and I can feel some kind of the miracle of this world, same idea with Dadaism and Surrealism. Something different things meet and create something new, and everybody can survive. So then I start doing an experiment of using making layers, lot of layers. My first film after graduated school was only 2 exposure set, and I try to I use some wires with spiky wire, and also water. Completely different things melt each other and create some cosmic images. I did that. So always the idea is the same, and when I make something, I have very clear idea, but I've already decided using so many layers and makes a completely different things. But every layer detail is still remain. That is very important things to me, and for me the creativity is I need something different and unexpected surprise to when I'm making work. Without that, I cannot continue to making something. Maybe every artist can understand.
I know for a long time your process was to shoot on film, Super 8, 16 millimeter, maybe 35 millimeter, or to work with film, to scan in digital and then working with it digitally.
Yeah.
But the reason for having film as the source image had to do with the quality of the image, the softness.
Mm-hmm.
And you've mentioned digital, at first for you had too much edge, a little bit too, like kind of a hard quality.
Yeah.
But then using film lenses, like film camera lenses, and also with 4K and higher resolution, you've been able to find a different kind of image quality in digital.
Yeah.
And I thought it's almost ironic in a way. We're looking at something in 4K, you're working in very high resolution as an abstract filmmaker, but you're seeking something softer. You're not looking for extreme sharpness.
Yeah, that happens because low resolution it's almost same meaning as high contrast. Normally, so if the people makes abstract images more 8K, 10K, maybe image goes to just gray. Yeah, maybe that will happen because high resolution means a soft image, low contrast. But this time, I have to say, original have no contrast. Today is the first time I used the Sony projector. It's a different contrast. I really felt that. But thank you for the project.
And also, in case people don't know, your images are created by photography. It's not computer generated or anything like this. So actually you're filming a huge amount of footage for this film in many different places. And so when I'm watching it, and maybe this is the case for some of you, sometimes my conscious mind is shutting off, but sometimes I'm thinking about you moving through all these spaces, especially this architectural section. And you really have a sense of being in a place, but you can't understand the place. Really.
Yeah, that is most very important thing to be keep these images in abstract. Because if I shoot in New York, Manhattan, and Hong Kong, and I can in the image there are so many words, languages, advertisement. If people think about, oh, that is I went there before, or this image came from there, I thought we stopped thinking about what is this. So for me, to keep abstraction, even if we can see something very clearly, it's very difficult. But I realized I can do that from 2016 after making a own generation corruption, the short film. So and then I thought I can make a Memento Stella, yeah, so many things, but we cannot, and we can see something very clearly, but we still cannot understand what is this one. And then our brain and imagination and screen connect and generate something. So I always think about if everybody think about the completely different things from the one screen. It's a very important things because I really don't want something kind of propaganda images. One screen, one answer, dark place. It's a very dangerous situation and I don't like. So that was kind of my very general thinking when I make something. So yeah, to make that kind of film, I have to make film, but I also have to believe the people's imagination, because it's kind of collaboration. Because we seeing and thinking, and maybe some people could see some big face or many. So I really like that kind of the situation. I think that is a very beautiful situation, because freedom to and connecting and live. So this is an experience, and so I really love that. That's why that is one of the very important reason why I'm making this kind of film and showing in the cinema place. That's very important.
Well, I mean, for me, your films have always been not like anybody else. that's kind of obvious. Your work is so unique and distinctive to you, and I think there's a great generosity in your films, because I feel in an audience we feel you're really giving us a big space to have a quite vivid imagination and a vivid physical experience, emotional experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like for abstract films, they're unexpectedly emotional too, and very involving personally.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great empathy in the work, and it's hard to understand why sometimes, because abstraction is complicated that way. We don't always know why we're feeling what we feel.
Abstract film touched so deeply, because I think that film connected with your memory, and it happens sometimes, unexpected things. That's
Did you see when this showed at school yesterday, some people, it made them cry actually?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Did anybody cry tonight?
I always cry when I watch these movies.
Only female people cry from this one.
Really?
Guys never cry.
And actually we have a microphone, I think, if anybody has questions.
I do have a question. I have a question. Hello?
Hello? I do have a question about, because I know a little bit about your previous work, the use of pull-freak, when the image is circulated and by the audience's will of changing the entity filter from one eye to another. And in this work, you don't use the pull-freak effect, but you still give the immersion and physiological experience of the audience of immersion, even though that you instead in the previous work has this movement that is from the screen to the, I'm sorry for my English, but has this immersion movement from the surface of the screen to the background, and in this time somehow you have like circular movements in the center, parallel movements, and from the background to the foreground. and you still giving to us layers, and you still giving to us the same kind of experience of the Pufrik. I'd like you to talk about these two kinds of works and how you blend them. And also I have a question. I know that before you're using 300 layers of film, like how many layers you use this time? Because I was completely like immersed again. And yeah, I'm sorry, so many questions, but I'm fascinated with your work, you know that.
About the first question?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes I use until the 2015, and also when I do a performance using an analog projector, 16mm projector and video projector combined and play music, sometimes I use a Pufrik effect because we can change the image of the movement of the images by ourselves. That is a very important thing because that way is very fit with my expression, the reason of the expression, because physically people can see the different movement. But for me, sometimes if I use that glasses, it also makes some limitation because I know it's always if you use a filter to make the 3D, always the speed of the image is the same. So, but without glass, we can see the more different things. So I think this work, I don't need 3D. It works actually, but I didn't use. So maybe from next year, using film filter and 3D version, I can show. I'm kidding. Yeah. So yeah, I think sometimes we can feel that completely more different and some kind of more deep collaboration with our brain and screen. So that is the reason I didn't use. And about the second question, how many layers? It's very difficult to explain, but some part I use 500 layers cities image twice and overlapping. So some part is like 1,000 layers, but it's overlapping. So I never counted. Yeah, but around maximum is around 1,000. But in the end, it's back to the only one image, one layer. That was the images. When I edited it, that idea came suddenly. Maybe it looks so much noisy and looks like another planet or like a fantasy image. But I thought I have to finish this work with a very normal images, and then we back to ourselves. That was the idea making this film.
Any other questions? Actually, the editing process for this film, you mentioned you worked on very, very long days in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong.
And is it very improvisational, your editing process? Like you're discovering things as you go? And when you're editing, are you sometimes going, wow, like you really totally surprised, really excited?
Yeah, I always editing and watch from the beginning and write. This part is not good, and I re-edited them and watch again and check again, and I do this kind of loop so many times. So. And sometimes I feel I'm not create something. I just the editing goes to everywhere. Just not like a control, not control, but try to go to the map, find something. So and always. Using my body as one audience. So if I feel it's so too much and boring, cut that part and watch again and much better. And if I feel something this part is not good, cut and and create again. So always I'm very open to watch, and in the morning and noon, afternoon, night, my body is changing. So I edit it all of the time and always wait, and it's okay. If I write nothing, it means that I can continue the next part. Yeah.
Like when you don't have a critical response anymore, you know it's working.
Critics?
Like a critical response. So when there's nothing more to write, then it's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Anybody? Right here.
There were several stretches where there was kind of an atomized light, lots of little fragmentary dots that almost bled into maybe digital noise or like film grain, to my perception. I was wondering if you could speak to that, how it was to use that kind of imagery.
The dot, it's a water reflection. I went to the waterfall and the sunset is there. So the waterfall was shining like a burning, and shoot the waterfall with the lens, iris of the lens, very, very, very close, and just capture the most bright part. So everything came from the somewhere. I have no interest to making something from the computer, because through making this work, I really wanted to connect myself and also people in cinema with this world. I tried to find how to believe, how to feel this world is beautiful. It was very difficult recently. So when I start making film, I go out and capture many things, and sometimes unexpected things happen. For example, the last part, the image looks like moving so quickly, but that is not moving. I went to the Norway, very north of the Norway, and I found a very small fountain, and a black fountain, and I shot that and out of focus, and the image looks like so quickly. So that kind of sometimes something surprise, and I can accept that. I can use that for my work. It's a very exciting thing. So everything came from somewhere. Actually, this work is my second 100% digital film work. It took so long time to switch to the analog film to the digital, because it's different. But I could break the wall using a very old lenses, and the focus is only center is focus in and out. This part is out of focus and looks like a galaxy images. So that was kind of good inspiration to making this work. And also, when I use only video, film grain thing, I feel I need dot. I need some more details on the small part, because the video image is kind of empty. If you go to the darkness and watch to shoot something, the dark place is nothing. So I pretend to maybe I made some kind of similar image with film materials. It's very difficult, but I do that naturally. Thanks for your question.
Microphone on its way.
I have a few questions. Which camera did you use? And do you ever feel when you shoot digitally that that you become a little aggressive with the shooting? Do you shoot too much? Do you have a lot of footage that was a waste? And how much post-processing do you do?
Yeah, first question, the GH4 Panasonic one. Are you listening? Yeah, Panasonic, the small camera, 4K. And use the several lenses, macro